welcome. And you're still running tomorrow morning, right?
We did it today.
Yeah, but I get tomorrow.
Yeah, all right.
All right, welcome everyone. Here today we're going to talk about innovating loyalty, gamification strategies for player retention. We have 4 great panelists here with me. Philip, Christina, Alexandra, and Tom. Why don't you start by introducing yourselves a little bit and tell us why you're so expertise on gamification.
Good morning, everyone. Glad that everyone made it back from the party last night. My name is Tom. I'm from Germany, and I've been working in the iGaming industry since 2007. My recent company is called Savage Tech, where we built a gamified retention engine for the iGaming industry, and I'm looking forward to have a lively panel with all of the other guests.
Good morning, my name is Alexandra. I'm working for Stadtcasino Baden, a Swiss casino group. We operate land-based and online casinos in Switzerland, and part of the group is also Gamanza, an iGaming software company where we build our own platform and also a player engagement platform.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Christina, Head of Business Development at Relax Gaming. I'm in the industry 20 years, believe it or not. Previous of Relax, I was a regional director at Construct, and most of my experience and knowledge comes from the challenges from that company. At Relax, I'm responsible for expansion in new markets, new operators, and providing Relax's awesome games together with aggregation services to all regulated markets.
Yeah, my name is Philip. I am leading the innovations department in GreenTube, and besides that I'm also a founder. I've founded several companies already. One of them is Players Club, which is a loyalty as a service company, and there I built a lot of knowledge in the past years about loyalty in iGaming. I'm happy to share my experiences.
Nice to have you all. So, gamification is a very big, broad subject. So, why don't you talk about a little bit about what gamification is to you, specifically in iGaming, of course. Philip?
Gamification can be basically nearly everything. Normally we say that it is using game design elements like points, levels, challenges, leaderboards, stuff like that in a non-gamified environment. And why do we do that? Because we want to bring the fun of gaming into the products. We want to motivate people, increase engagement, participation rates, and in general, with that, the loyalty for the product. So this is gamification for me, bringing these game design elements into non-gaming products. This is what we are working on. Yes.
Gamification indeed is leaderboard and missions, but not only. It's also mechanics. It's also inspiration for players to be playing the game, to make it interesting. At Relax, for example, our focus is more niche games and high volatility games. The games are not designed for everyone, so to speak. However, it has a great possibility for players to chase the multipliers and to win at the end big, very anticipated prizes.
Yes, maybe I can add that gamification uses certain psychological patterns which are known, that people react to these, and these elements are taken into account when creating gamification, like missions or little side games or half-chain points whatsoever. And the goal of gamification is to enhance CRM and to prolong the lifetime of the player, basically.
I'm 42 years old. I've been a gamer all my life. I co-founded two of Germany's biggest esport teams, Mouse Sports and Big Plan. And For me, gamification was always the triggers that told me as a young player, I'm still a young player, I think, that the triggers that forced me back into a game, that forced me to spend my free time, my free will, by engaging in certain game mechanics. And I think the easiest example would be, for gamification, we want to see a single number rise. If we do something and that number rises from 0 to 1, we already feel like that we've accomplished something, and there's a certain dopamine trigger that makes us feel good about the actions that we did in the past. And what we are trying to do is to find all of these triggers that specifically work well in the mobile gaming industry, which is something that we're going to talk about later, and we're trying to transfer that into the iGaming industry.
Thanks, everyone. You touched upon dopamine, you touched upon psychological, and I think before we even talked about behavioral science, I believe, in our discussions before, Philip. So, how is it just about getting dopamine reward for the players to create this habitual forming, coming back to the same thing over and over? Or are there other areas of psychology that affects players when they use gamified functions?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, dopamine is such a buzzword. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows what we are talking about when we say we want that the players feel a dopamine rush, right? But in fact, your brain is constantly on drugs, constantly. And there are 4 different neurotransmitters which are really important for all this stuff. This is dopamine, of course, one side, which generates this excitement. But there's also serotonin, for example, which is for happiness, for status. There's endorphins, which creates this relaxing feeling when you had a lot of excitement and then you relax, you come down again. And in the end, there's also the stress hormone cortisol, which is very important in the iGaming space because it's generating this feeling of fear of missing out. You know, like, let's say 3,000 players achieved already the jackpot today, 12 jackpots left. This generates immediately fear of missing out. I want to be the next one because there are only 12 left, right? So there's a lot of different things that we need to look about, and this is maybe also the criticism that I have for this general loyalty systems that iGaming platforms use at the moment. They are looking only at one of those things most of the time. There is no concept over the loyalty system. The goal is just to introduce a VIP system, maybe, some loyalty points, and that's it. And this does not do the job. Not at all. And this is why we're here and try to help finding a way to really create a system which can trigger all these different neurotransmitters in the games.
Yes, the dopamine basically is the main product that the gaming industry is trying to sell. And not only that, like the feeling of being the first, feeling of expectation of winning big, this is very important. And the games at Relax, for example, I will speak from Relax as a supplier point of view. We see our jackpot product, for example, which has clear conditions, which needs to fall at some points, like major needs to fall at 50K before it will hit, and then 3 million. So people are chasing this. This is, I think, a good, just to have a goal, to give people, players, goal which they need to go, like a clear goal, so that they know what they are doing, why they are in the casino and playing. That's what represents, for example, Dream Drop and Relax. And it really creates all the hormones that you mentioned, and those all are very important for health.
Thank you, everyone. Anyone else? No? Okay. So, is it just about is everyone affected the same way, or is it more that these 42-year-old young players that are affected more, or are older people affected just the same, or how is it spread?
Okay, so a while ago I was the general manager for a startup called Unicorn, which got sold to Innovating in 2021 and got shut down 2.5 years later for obvious reasons. And we wanted to offer our real money betting product in Germany. And of course, with the GTL there, we had a tough time doing that, even though we had the backing of well, not Entain at that point, but we had the backing of Tabcorp. And we gamified an entire sports book. So we had a soft currency called Unicorn Silver back in the days, and we amassed over 42,000 people from Germany who were playing this game for free. And of course, we had anything, the cohort was between 18 and I would say 32, roughly. And we highly gamified this entire experience. We even had a spinning wheel, which we didn't look at the data at one point in time, cut off. The engagement rate dropped significantly. That was so stupid from us. And after a while, we wanted to convert all of those users into paying crypto users. So we launched a token, a utility token called Unicorn Gold. And how many of those 42,000 users that we taught how to play for free, and we taught that they could get something out of it by not investing any money whatsoever, how many do you think actually became Unicorn Gold users? 0, exactly 0. And I think this is something that we need to be super careful about when we're talking about gamification and giving stuff away for free. We are teaching this cohort that they are getting something for free every day, in and out. And then we are asking ourselves, why didn't they convert at all, right? And it's especially this younger cohort, the generation Y and Z, that are so used to consuming free stuff all the time, and it's the biggest challenge for us to actually turn them into paying customers.
I agree. From the operator perspective, we see exactly the same things happening in our online casinos. So everyone is affected, I think, by gamification, but not everyone reacts the same way, and not everyone likes the same things. So you cannot give your VIP players the same rewards as you can give to everybody else. That's something really important to know. And what we also see, and we asked our players when we introduced these gamification elements, what they like and what they don't like. The older a player, the less they liked a lot of bling bling everywhere. Younger players, as you said, are used to seeing that all the time. They're used to seeing changing things on their little screens. Older ones are not, and they don't want that. So there also you need to be a bit careful not to overload players with gamification elements so that they get tired, depending on the age group.
Maybe one thing to add to what Tom said before, a very, very good example for all the operators in here is really every one of you, I would even bet 100% of you, give away a registration bonus, for example, right? And this is something which the user gets for free. It's something that might work to get the user into your product, especially if the bonus is higher than for the competitors. But this is absolutely nothing that keeps the users playing your product. Nothing. A bonus that you get for free does not keep users. There is this endowment effect, it is called, which says nothing more than earned rewards have a higher value than rewards that I got for free. What does this mean? If I, as user, have to do something and earn something for that, what I've done, then I give it a higher value, a way higher value. I have the feeling I achieved it. And this is what really good loyalty systems should really enforce. These challenges, missions, quests, however you call it, But giving away something for free is just attracting bounty hunters, which have basically no lifetime value, and this is not the users that you want to have in your product.
Yeah, I can't agree more. Coming from the operator side before as well, I saw the same thing. You get the deposit bonus, about 50% take the deposit bonus, and the 50% that don't take it, those are the players you want. So moving away from deposit bonus, deposit and get, and more play and win is probably a good choice.
I think it also adds to the problem that the operators, they are always, most of the times, offering the same products. Let it be casino games or let it be the 150 on Bayern Munich to beat Dortmund. And that really creates a problem that we are trying to onboard, we are trying to lure players onto our platform with bonuses. But at the end of the day, they are getting the same product at a competitor, and they can just get the bonus there as well. So what Philip said, we are dealing with a massive bonus hunting scheme, and it honestly inflates the numbers from our industry. I don't even know how many actually unique players we have, or is it just basically 10,000 people just jumping from casino to casino, inflating the numbers from our total industry.
Definitely, the syndicates that use the same player but with many different identities. Okay, moving into the gamification and the trends we see in gamification. We touched upon it a little bit, learning from esports, but are there any other areas or games or esports or iGaming in general, not iGaming, gaming in general, mobile gaming in general, other apps, things you've seen that could be applied in iGaming that would work well, narratives?
Okay. So I downloaded a little app called Duolingo. They gamified learning languages, and of course, because I look like it, I tried to learn Korean, and for roughly half a year, this app really caught or captured my attention. And because of what? There's a little feature inside called the streak. So you get rewarded for logging in every day and doing something within the app, as in learning your next step within the Korean language. So you have to earn that check mark, right? That you can continue that streak. And it worked super well for me until I had to travel to Sigma Manila, and for whatever reason I did not look at that app anymore. And they are trying so hard to making sure that you are continuing the streak no matter what. And this is, they called it freezing your streak tokens. And the longer you play, the more tokens you are getting. And I used those automatically. And when I returned to Germany from Asia, I looked at my Duolingo app and I lost my streak. I used up all of my freeze the streak tokens, and I lost 100% of my motivation to go back into the app to play it again. And I think this is a very good example of something, if you are engaged and if you keep going, then it absolutely works wonders. I made sure every day that I'm going to learn my annyeonghaseyo, But the moment I stopped doing it, I was out. I cancelled my yearly subscription fee, and I have never touched it ever since.
Actually, last week I did an internal IT security training within our company, which was very much gamified. And there were all the classical gaming elements, like having confetti every time an answer was correct, and you can level up and you have points everywhere. But what attracted me was that our company is competing against other companies using the same program for their IT security trainings, and that creates kind of a community feeling in you, and that helped me really going through all the questions, even if it was a long training. It took me over half an hour, which is usually I would never do a training long like this for IT security, but that really helps, like this community feeling, and to contribute to our company's success within that training.
I think there are so many products out there where we can learn from, and not only in the gaming area, but also like every one of us who ever played a game knows that in most of the games you have quests to fulfill, right? In order to progress. this is such a basic mechanic that we can use for everything. Do this and that, and then you have a progression, and this leads you to a goal. This is such a loyalty building system, easy. It's not easy to do, but easy to understand for the users. Then there are things like Netflix, for example. Every time you open Netflix, you see some new suggestions. The front end of Netflix is changing constantly because new elements come up, new suggestions for new movies and so on. So we also can learn from that, like giving away rewards that I can predict as a user all the time. I know when I do that, I get this. When I do that, I get the next thing. And I know exactly what I get. This does not create excitement anymore after the first time. So what we need to introduce is rewards which are new, which are a surprise element, like loot boxes and so on are another example of those things. So I think we can learn a lot from different products which use those mechanics already for years. And in iGaming, unfortunately, we are a little bit behind in this regard.
Yeah, I think you mentioned Netflix. I think it's a great example that if you use Netflix for a long time, you might start having a hard time finding different things. You get the same things prompted to you over and over again. You can't really find what you're looking for. Netflix actually has secret search codes, so you can enter 1348 and you get all the action movies or something like that. So things to Google and learn if you use Netflix. But how does using all these gamification methods, how do they affect the players in the terms of how they use your site? Do they come back more often? Do they play for longer when they're playing? Do they deposit more? How does it work?
I can give concrete numbers because we did a small survey just a few months ago with a customer of us. It is Stargates Germany. Maybe someone knows this platform of you. They are using Players Club as a loyalty system, and we compared users who joined the loyalty system with users who didn't. And we had extraordinary results which we did not expect, to be honest, because the churn rate was 50% lower of those who joined the loyalty system. They had a 14% higher lifetime value, 10% higher deposits, and the story goes on, you know. And all of this contributes in the end to the revenue of the company. So this is a thing that we should not forget. Loyalty systems and gamification is fancy, of course. It looks cool. It is fun, hopefully. But in the end, we need to contribute to the revenue of our customers. And by creating higher lifetime value, we do so. And there's one thing which is very interesting, and people underestimate this. Retaining a user is 5 times cheaper than getting a new user. 5 times. So what does this mean? It means churn rate kills your revenue. If your users getting away do not use your product, they do not have lifetime value or not a high enough lifetime value, your customer acquisition costs will always be higher than the lifetime value of the user. This kills your business. So you need to invest in customer loyalty in order to be successful and have a sustainable business.
Well, good games, good mechanics which have the feeling of progression can help with this. I think players like to collect stuff, as Tom mentioned as well. The feeling of progression will keep them come back. Feeling of having a surprise element will make them also to come back and deposit again. Being accessible. In our mobiles, we can access anything in the world. We need to make ourselves accessible from the mobile for sure. And to be interesting for the peoples to come back, always be creative, create something new every time. You can't continue doing the same promotions, for example, every time. They will get word about this, and this will attract only people who are focused specifically on those type of promotions, for example. So being creative is key here.
In our online casino, we could also see that the churn rate went down, so the active player, the number of active player increased or stayed at least stable when we introduced gamification. But we did so in combination with an AI-based prediction on a churn risk of a player. And I think this combination of the two elements really helped us to increase the number of active players and to prolong the lifetime of a player, which is really helpful and necessary, because the acquisition of new players is so costly compared to keeping the players. So yeah, there was a significant difference before and after we introduced these gamification elements.
Yeah, as a founder and CEO of my company, I've been in a lot of sales calls with operators mostly. And I have a question for you guys here, because I mean, retaining a customer after you already spent a lot of money to actually get them to your platform. How come that the industry still does not feel that it has become unsustainable, that they still don't feel the pain to actually invest more into retaining those customers that are already used to your brand, that have already tried out your system? They already went through KYC, you already checked the AML, and yet you still believe that, at least in Germany, you get to spend anywhere between 80 to 120 euro on a CPA to acquire a new customer, instead of spending like 20% of that to keep that customer on the platform, trigger a third, a fourth deposit without having to incentivize that deposit with bonus money. What's going wrong?
I think, Tom, I have a pretty good example from my experience. It happened last year. We had a sales call with an operator. They were interested into loyalty systems and so on. And in the end, after 2 or 3 sales calls, they said, yeah, it sounds interesting and impressive and everything, but we decided to do it on our own, because then we can do it tailor-made and everything. Now, 2 weeks ago, I was just writing an email once more to follow up and ask them, hey guys, how are you doing? Is your loyalty system already live? Can we check it out? What mechanics did you use? And the answer was exactly what I expected. They did absolutely nothing, because they started with requirements actually, and then it was too much, nobody had time, no priority, and so on. And why is this the case? Because everybody of you knows, depending on the jurisdiction, on the country, the legislations change all the time. And operators just running after these changes invest the resources of their teams in order that their products fit to the changes that the regulators did, and they have no time. This is the simple fact. They have no time and resources to take care about this important retention things. But I have to say, I am happy about it. I mean, this is the chance for us. We can jump in. We focus 100% only on that point, to increase your retention, to build the best loyalty system out there, and it is a business chance for us to do that. But the reason why they don't do it is because they simply do not have the time for it.
That is one reason, which is certainly true, but in our case, I mean, I don't want to blame the regulator all the time, but it took us a year to only get the approval for missions. A year. Not speaking about the loyalty system, that took us another year. So 2 years just ran by. We were trying to introduce all these great things, and it was just not possible.
Yeah, that can also come from an operator side that you have, if the CRM team wants a tool to use, it has to go through 7 different loops. But if the marketing team wants to spend millions of euros on sponsoring something, then it's just go ahead. let's go for it. But that brings it into regulation and legislation. It's obviously a hot topic in Europe now. After, well, if you look 15 years ago, almost no one was regulated, and now almost every country has their own legislation and regulatory thing. And different countries, different problems. But I know Switzerland seems to take some time when they get through different, have to prove something. Also Germany, probably. Why don't you speak a little bit on your experience in this area?
I honestly don't have that much experience when it comes to dealing with the German GGL. We have a client, it's the third biggest sportsbook from Germany. They want our solution. The CEO is a great guy. He put it in front of the GGL and he basically said, good luck. We have to wait a little longer, and every 2 months I'm following up, hey, does the GGL, they moved the day, did they approve our solution? And the short answer is no. We have not received feedback from them so far. It's a very long and enduring process, to be honest.
Same in Switzerland. I mean, the problem is that the regulator doesn't know what gamification is, so you have to educate the regulator first, explain everything, and you need to be careful because the regulator comes with this responsible gaming perspective, always fearing that the new elements might be dangerous for the player, which of course they can be. So you need, at least in Switzerland, you need to include responsible gaming elements in your gamification, which is easily feasible and it also works very well. And that helps a lot in convincing the regulator to approve these elements, or loyalty clubs in general, missions and whatever there is in gamification.
And just to add something to the German situation that really paints a good picture about the GGL. So they asked us to send over a full product presentation, which we did, and of course it was in English. And 6 weeks later, we just received an email. Yeah, we need this in German. So and I was like, okay. So this is how it goes.
Yeah, I have the same experience. We have customers in Germany, and if you want to compare to Spain, for example, Albino Spain is one of our customers, and there it was pretty fast, I have to say. Within 6 weeks or something, we got the feedback from regulator that we can do a lot of stuff, to be honest. For example, we were able to reward staking, so the user, whenever he played a game and staked, per euro staked, he gets some loyalty points, something like that. Very basic mechanic. This is totally not possible in Germany, but for Germany it took us 14 months until we get an answer, the first answer, right? 14 months. And there we often discuss about innovation and startups and so on in the iGaming industry. Now you have your answer why there is absolutely nothing out there. Because how could you as a startup, and I did I think 10 different startups already by now, how could you innovate in an environment where you wait 14 months for an answer on which everything depends on, right? This is simply not possible. But I have to confirm that they were really faster as soon as we introduced mechanics like you get rewards when you set a deposit limit, for example. This is what they said, yeah, responsible gaming, nice, this is what we support. But everything that supports the business of the operator, they were absolutely not interested into that.
So it is possible to gamify responsible gaming and KYC then, for example,
Absolutely.
Source of funds or affordability checks and so on.
It's actually a great way to bring players to file documents for AML, KYC reasons, or also in responsible gaming. In Switzerland we have these very unfortunate affordability checks, which cause a big problem because players do not want to file their documents to the casino, which I can understand. And gamification can help to really incentivize the player to file these documents. So we saw better, I mean not really good numbers, but the number of players that file the document at least increased.
Right, so it's a way to get players to do something that they don't really want to do, like that, or take an IT course.
Exactly.
So we're running shorter on time now, but let's talk a little bit about the future of gamification for iGaming. Maybe everyone can say a little bit about what they think will happen in the next 5 years. What are we going to see happen?
I think we will see more and more what I said before. There will be companies like us who offer loyalty as a service. You have your loyalty product out of the box. You just need to integrate it in a seamless way into your platform. What a big topic will also be, of course, artificial intelligence to personalize rewards, to trigger certain mechanics in the absolutely right moment, to foresee churn of users and do the right thing at the right time. And I think also a broad mix of the different mechanics. So we will see products that implement streaks, VIP systems, missions, quests, maybe avatar building, like Tom's venture does. Also land building maybe, or different styles in that regard. So a broad mix, but what the market needs is people who really focus on that. It's not something that can run besides your platform business. This will never work, and I promise that, and I believe in that. So yeah, specialized providers will rise, and this is what will happen in the next years.
In very sensitive industry we are working in, and while it's moving and evolving very fast, we still need to be very patient. We need to be transparent if we want to be in regulated market, if we want to be the regulators on board, which is the best to do. We need to be patient, we need to educate ourselves first to understand what are the needs, and then transmit this information to the regulators, and at the same time try to educate players as well, offering them smart solutions, smart gameplay. Only patience will help here.
I think more and more operators will discover gamification as being a very useful tool to keep the players, but I think we also need to be very careful to balance responsible gaming and these elements, especially in highly regulated markets, to not risk that there will be regulation forbidding us using gamification elements, which can happen. We see it with advertising in general, in Europe, also in other markets. So this can be a challenge, I think, in the future.
At Unicorn, we had the mantra of saying every day a punter who bets on horse racing dies, and 3 people are being born that are going to bet on esports. And I think the shift is in those generations, or the upcoming generations, is that the generation Y and Z, they are so accustomed to everything from the mobile devices, those fast triggers, everything is flashing. They don't want to wait 2 hours until a regular sports bet is being settled on a football game, right? They want to do something in between, they want to get rewarded right away. And this shift in the generation is what is going to push the industry towards gamification. Something that happens faster. I mean, this is the reason why we don't see gamification for horse racing, because that generation is not going to act well on getting flashing banners and this kind of stuff, and that's why the industry is automatically going to shift towards gamification.
Perfect. Thanks, everyone. And does anyone have any questions for the audience? From the audience? No questions? All right. Thanks everyone from the panel. Great talk.